can you convey your Palestine thing, your writing, resistance, voice thing, using humor and jokes and fun?
Yeah.
Of course. It doesn't have to be all serious like we do. Or sad. It doesn't have to include people dying. Alright, do you know Rawan? Rawan Yabi?
Yeah.
Everybody in her stories dies at the end. Everybody dies. She writes these similar but very different stories where again everybody dies. It's just so devastating. But again you love what she writes. أنا من حد بقول والله كتبت القصة بقول please send it expecting people to die. Okay? طيب, before I move, I want you to go to this. This is something I did in my first story class last year. I asked my students what short story telling means to them as Palestinians as. I want you to go through this very quickly and highlight, choose one thing. So as a Palestinian, what does telling stories mean to you? Writing stories, what does it mean to you? What does it? If you don't have, can you share? Only one, just circle one. Did you choose?
What about writing another thing?
Yeah, okay, go on, of course.
Not just one.
شايفين كيف طلاب المدارس الابداع والكرياتيفيتي وتمشي بتسموا بكلامنا؟ ما طلاب الجامعات حرام خايفين هيك وعاملين يدوروا علينا علامات احسن. بيقولوا ان الطفل لما يخش الروضه بيفقد 96% من الابداع عنده. عارفين كمان؟ لانه في الروضه بصير اقعد تتحرك شو بدك كذا. المدرسه بتكون خلص راح. Okay, yalla. Say something, yes. Tell me storytelling is and choose the thing you chose.
Teaching and education.
Is that one thing? Choose one of them. Teaching and education.
Record and memory.
Tell me, storytelling is?
Yeah, storytelling is a record and memory.
Okay.
Storytelling is imagination.
Okay.
Storytelling is an act of existence.
I told you it's going to be more acting than.
Storytelling is a record and memory.
Okay.
Storytelling is
Okay.
Storytelling is an act of existence.
Okay.
Storytelling is pleasure.
Pleasure. Go on.
Storytelling is promoting action and change.
Oh, interesting. Can you highlight this? Storytelling is promoting action and change.
Storytelling is an act of existence.
An act of existence.
Storytelling is imagination.
Okay.
Storytelling is a truth.
Okay.
The storytelling is inspiration.
Inspiration. Good.
Storytelling is pleasure.
Pleasure. First time somebody repeats something.
Interesting. Second time.
Storytelling is a criticism of life.
Criticism of life.
Storytelling is seeking justice.
Is seeking justice.
Storytelling is seeking truth.
Truth.
Storytelling is seeking answers.
Answers.
Storytelling is sharing experience.
Sharing experiences.
Storytelling is a criticism of life.
Criticism of life.
Storytelling is an act of existence.
An act of existence.
Storytelling is my
Speaking.
grandma.
Is your grandma. Okay.
Storytelling is an act of life.
An act of life.
Storytelling is believing in a God.
is
Leaving the past.
reliving the past.
Reliving.
Storytelling is making sense of life.
Making sense of life.
Storytelling is a part of our life. I collect all of them in my life.
Okay, it's a part of our life.
Storytelling for me is peace.
Peace.
Storytelling is an act of life.
An act of life.
Storytelling is seeking answers.
Seeking answers.
Storytelling is a pleasure.
Pleasure, okay. Guys, what did you choose? Life.
Storytelling is sharing experience.
Okay.
Storytelling is pleasure.
Pleasure.
Storytelling is an act of life.
It's an act of life.
Storytelling is sharing experience.
Sharing experiences.
Storytelling records and journal.
Right.
Storytelling is a criticism of life. Storytelling is making sense of life.
Storytelling is a criticism of life. Storytelling is imagination. Storytelling is envisioning of the future.
Envisioning the future.
Storytelling is an act of life.
An act of life. Storytelling is truth. طيب الشعب العالمتين للي بيعرف ايش انا بدي اقول ستوري تيلينج از ما لا من نفس الورقه.
Adventure.
Active existence.
You don't know me. To me ايش اللي قلت قلتيها؟ Promoting action.
Yeah, I just said that. He didn't hear you.
Storytelling is act of power.
Act of power. Why do I like this more than anything else?
Because there's a
Because if you when you read or when you write, if you don't change, don't read. من الآخر. كمان مرة. If you write or read and you don't change, don't read, don't write. That's very like serious stuff. Like we write stuff on Facebook and Twitter and here, but we're horrible, we're still horrible. بس واحد بارك زمان أول ما طلع يقول لك everybody on Facebook is good. Where are the bad people? واحد رد عليه يقول له on Twitter. It's true. Everybody on Facebook is good. عارفين إنه Facebook is an act of writing بالمناسبة هي. So when we write, we usually go to this good part in us. But does this mean like we're going to change in real life? If yes, if no, I'll give one example before we go to another exercise. I read two stories that changed my life personally. I don't usually say this, but I changed because of these two stories. One story is a case of suspicion. The other story, I think it's called Revelation something. That other story is about an old woman. She's waiting her turn at a doctor's place, and there were other people coming. She was sitting somewhere, and everybody who comes into the reception is judged by this old woman. She looks at those people in this particular way, like, that woman is very bad. That girl is something. That old man is something. So when I was reading this, I got very furious. I wanted to punch this old, ugly, judgmental woman in the face because she keeps judging people. And then all of a sudden, I realized that I am judging her. And then I realized that the story is more about me than about the woman. And the same thing goes to the story case of suspicion. Please go and read A Case of Suspicion today. It's by I think an American writer called Ed Wallace. اكتب بس Case of Suspicion هتلاقوها text. One of the most beautiful stories ever. You read the story. I don't want to spoil it, so just go and read it.
It's actually like affected the community. Like everyone judges the other.
But they don't judge themselves. That's why there's a big holes in their communication.
The point is that when you read this story, if you don't change, nobody can stop judging people all the time. But at least you just minimize it, keep it just at bay. I keep it at 99%.
Can I comment on? If you remember William Golding's Lord of the Flies, and he calls Piggy, you know? Remember Piggy? So everyone calls Piggy, including us. So in the very beginning, he told everyone that he does not want to be called Piggy. So if you like, as a leader, you do the same.
We're complicit. We're part of this problem. We're part of that crime. And that's always what short stories are about. Short stories are about inducing change, pushing people to change, to be different, to grow. مش عارف موجودة كانت grow. مش يعني grow. When you read a story written by Chinua Achebe from Africa, by Arthur Chikov from Russia, Pirandello from Italy, people from around the world, you change. You have to change. You have to grow. You have to develop this understanding thing. طيب احنا هعمل حاجة وبعدين نعمل حاجة يعني بعد الحاجة in Gaza Writes Back هذا مش مطبوع أنا بالعام تعمدت إني ما أطبعه. This exercise is called visualization. يجي في بالي مش عارف نقدر نطبقها، إذا قدرنا نطبقها ماشي، ما قدرناش بتعملها بالطريقة الثانية. إنه أنا أجيب واحد وأنا أقرأ النص هو يعمل مش تمثيل يعني performance للشيء. Is that possible? لو يوسف كان جربنا عليه. Do you get what I mean? Like, because when you read a story, if you don't live in the story, if you're not one of the characters, if you don't become part of the story, there's something wrong either with your imagination or with the writing itself. But I picked something from Gaza Writes Back from different stories. And these things don't have to be about liberating Palestine or changing the world. It's about changing somebody's attitude about something, or it's about nothing, just casual chat. اقرأ التنتين وشوف إذا قدرنا نجيب حدا فيما بعد. شوف الحوار في قصة حنان حبشي Ill for Life. Some other context. The narrator says blah blah blah. Mama is getting frailer. Mama is getting frailer. الأصل تعطوني هذه ear piece. يأخذ التعليمات من غان. I always wonder, what does she know which I don't, and makes her go on in a life of bitter loneliness? She must know something, right? Thinking that she knew Thayer, I once plainly asked her, what happened to Thayer? In the end, she washed the last dish, turned the tap off, and stared at the sink for some time. I felt like she was about to give me the healing answer, but she at once retracted. Who's there? She asked, narrowing her eyes. حنان بيجي يعمل يمثل المشهد صعب ولا سهل؟ الحجة لا الحجة سهل نعرف ايش نسوي بس لحظة خليكم معايا فعليا احنا هذه خليكم معايا بس this bit here which our stories have to include as many of these as possible may not push the plot or something but helps the reader visualize. طلعش المشهد تسأل عنها السؤال بس لاحظوا الحوار وطبيعة الحوار احنا بنعمله كمدقية شيء خشبي wooden artificial but it has to be casual. ايش هم عاملين؟ طلعوا ايش سوي؟ ما حكت لنا المشهد رحت لها وكانت في المطبخ والتفاصيل مش شرط خلاص مشهد انه طيب انقطع وفتح وهي وين؟ She washed the last she washed the last dish. That's the صحيح؟ Turn the tap off. سكرت الماسورة. هل هذا في داعي للقصة؟ في الثيم؟ لا. غالبا لا but it helps us as readers to visualize. If we don't هذا بنسميه zooming in يعني الكاميرا شوف كيف الكاميرا عم تسويها يعني هم مش حيروحوا يقولوا الجزيرة صورناهم مش حيستفيدوا منهم اي شيء. وين الدوكيومنتري صورناهم؟ no he zooms in. انا متاكد جايب الكلمات جايب الخط اللي تحت الكلمات اللي انا عامله بالقلم الرصاص. That is very important. And stared at the sink for some time. إيش معنى some time? ليش معنى كذا؟ I felt like she was about to give the answer, but then she said who's fair, etc. Thank you. Yeah. When she answered, يعني أنا سؤال لو بدنا نرسم الحجة وهي بتقول لها who's fair، سهل نرسمها؟ برسمها بعمل عينيها هيك. If you don't imagine this, if you can't do this, that's a problem. That's a problem. طيب one more piece قبل ما نقرأ النص للناس. تسمعوا من قصة روان يابي and again almost everybody dies. قصة اسمها spared. The electricity was out. As always. There was no studying to do, and we were bored of staying at home. My neighbors and friends went out for a football match. I wasn't allowed out because my mother was preparing lunch, and it was almost done. تخيلوا السياق صارت معنا نطلع كذا. That's our story, right?
Yes.
I stood on the balcony. كمان عم تعمل زوم. كيف الكلمات. Watching my friends kicking the ball to each other and acting like famous football players, يا وليد, when they scored a goal. Spreading their arms. Spreading their arms like eagles. And running and screaming goal. Mashhad, can you throw this? Can you see this? I stood. خلينا بس شوية. Okay, go on. If you want to go, come on. I stood there cheering. Whenever my best friend أحمد لاحظوا كيف التخصيص مشان الأولاد إحنا نقول we. مين we؟ في القصة we were مين؟ الحجة mother father sister. Yes. Ahmed scored. Lunch seemed to take forever. I looked back. Mom was putting the plates. طبعا الآن سؤال. إيش غلط العبارة هذا ما ننساش غلط عبارة إنه I looked back. لأن هي في الأول طلع بلكونة. المنطق إنه عشان تشوف الحجة you either have to have eyes in the back of your head or to look back. لكن looking back هذا بيخلي القارئ حية وهيك create vitality. Mom was putting plates on the table. She looked at me and smiled serenely. She knew how much I wanted to go out and that I was staying because she made me. Come on, Mom, hurry. Ahmed is scoring all the goals. I complained. بمعنى مش I said. ولا shouted. لو shouted معناها بدي أقولها come on, Mom, Ahmed is scoring all the goals. لكن complained in a way that the tone. Almost done, dear. You won't be able to play on an empty stomach, will you? She said sweetly. I gave her a grumpy face. And went back to watching the huge match. I rested. لاحظوا كمان مرة الدقة بتزداد الآن. I rested my chin on the edge of the balcony. Have you ever done this? If you are in the balcony, you rest your chin on the edge of the balcony. Pull my arms back. That's the balcony. Just pull your arms back, not out. And keep my feet on the small blue plastic stool. طرابيزة. Small. Small وأزرق. ليش مش أخضر؟
هي الترابيزة المعروفة عند الناس كلها أزرق.
But it helps with the visualization. نحن عادة لا بنعطيش الألوان والتفاصيل والأمور هذه. So pay attention to this. Which my mother bought exactly for that purpose. She said, I didn't need more than 10 centimeters to be able to view the street. Anything higher than that would cause a tragedy that no one in the family or the neighborhood, especially me, would want to see. She terrified me with stories about children who climbed the balcony and ended up in the street with all sorts of broken bones. أنا سمعت القصة النوم 17 مرة، 17 مرة. دي مش عارف ناس رجع، واحد وقع وصار في كذا، واحد وقع مش عارف ايش كذا، etc. Okay. طبعا I'll stop here. The last thing for now is this. We go just to ولا وقفوه هم. So just 5 or 7 more minutes. But I want you to read this and to do a kind of performance.
The house stuff here?
لا من عين Two Thick in Gaza. This is a story by سميحة عنوان. One of the best stories. لكن هذا المشهد خيالي ما حصلش.
Sit down?
My father found.
The second
مين
paragraph.
بتعرف ترسم؟ ممكن واحنا بنقرا حدا تقعد تعمل لنا سكتش على
I can try.
Okay, who else? Okay. So this, I think what's the idea? In creative writing, they usually say if you can draw the story, visualize it, it's a good story. Sometimes you don't have to literally visualize, but you need to live in the story. يلا شوف مين يقرأ؟ My father.
My father found his way to me among the crowd. Why are you so late? My father found his way to me among the crowd. Why are you so late? I got your number. You were about to lose it. He called from where he was standing. No way.
The situation is that the daughter has the father goes to reserve to book a number early in the morning, في الوكالة, and etc. I'm not sure if you've ever been there or to any place where you become a number.
Yeah.
Okay, شكل الجوال, قبول التسجيل, or worse than a number maybe. And think of this. Go on.
No way. Not the number. I can't lose the number after all I have been through. I thought pain preventing me from talking. It was one.
لحظة الآن. في القصة احنا ايش بنسوي احنا؟ We mention something and then we just forget it. What is she doing here, the writer? And of course all texts were editing in a way to be comprehensive, and the main character, I think she doesn't have a name, yeah? She doesn't have a name. Having a toothache. Every couple of paragraphs we are reminded of this. احنا عادة بننسى خلص. كم تلاقي مشي بكذا وممكن تعمل أشياء مستحيل واحد بيجي على أسنانه يعملها. You need to remember when you give somebody a feature or something, it has to grow with them and continue unless they get rid of it. Go.
It was one of those times. It was one of those times when one is rendered a number, when one is no longer a human being but a number. I was no longer me. I was 7, and 7 was the only thing I wanted to hear at that moment. Although seeing all those sick people mildly relieved my tooth pain that started gnawing at my brain and my limbs. I wanted it to stop by any means.
Thank you. Someone, second, please, paragraph. Guys. Hang on, guys. Walid.
I sat down on the bench my father reserved for me. Seeing the state I was in.
Her father is really sacrificing his time and effort and everything. He goes out early in the morning, he keeps a seat for her, he just wants her life to be very comfortable, right? We build a pattern. Go on.
Seeing the state I was in, he preferred to stand up like most of the people waiting for their numbers. The 5 benches.
ما قالت لنا يخرب شيطانهم الوكاله وضيق ومش واسع وخلوا الناس يقفوا الى اخره. So many people were standing. That's more of a showing thing. لأنه واحد يجي يحلل القصة أو بيجي كمان 30 سنة بيدرس كيف الوكالة ممكن يستخدم القصة هاي كريفرنس في القصة الفلانية من جنات etc. and everything. But if you start بسموه preaching. تعرفوا شو preaching؟ زي الخطاب زي خطبة الجمعة وكذا اعملوا ما تعملوش do's and don'ts. Go.
The 5 benches available in the room would by no means suffice the tens of women.
ما بنعرفهاش. كلمة suffice من sufficient. Suffice. Yeah, it's suffice.
The tens of women, children, men, and elderly crowdedly standing there. I got a glance at the women beside me. My eyes caught a glimpse of the number on the card she was gripping with both
المرأة اللي
hands.
جنبها مش بس ماسكة الرقم، مش بس اطلعت على المرأة اللي ماسكاها، ماسكاها بإيدينها زي هيك.
Gripping.
رقم هو صار هويتها شخصيتها حياتها مستقبلها. Go.
I was shocked. For how long does she have to wait for number 36 when I was number 7 and not called yet? Not for long. I discovered later. Number 6.
لاحظوا الآن كيف الحوار صغير، لكن ايش حيخلق؟ بدنا نعمل it creates a lively atmosphere. The dialogue. Yes. And this is beautiful. This is beautiful stuff. Go.
Number 6. Number 6.
تخيلين انتم في الأول 6 رقم 6 بتكون احنا في مشاهد زي هيك والله بصير كل الناس تسعى وصوت يزعق ويقول لك هيك قبل سنة طايم على المعبر في مخاطرة مهام في المستوصفات في go on.
Called a bored voice over the loudspeaker.
الموظف طبيعي a bored voice over the loudspeaker. طب ايش صار بعديها؟ go on.
Number 6? Where is number 6? George, almost every person.
ايش يعني roll? What's roll? That's what a lion does. Right? مش بس yelled or shouted or something.
The voice
Is that realistic? Does it happen all the time? Does it make you smile and oh yeah, like when you that's good writing. Go.
their voices reverberating
هذا الصوت تحركت الأرض.
through the hole. The door of the room opened and a very old woman crawled out.
لاحظوا هذا المشهد. I've never seen something like this.
Limping
كمان مرة فتح الباب لأنه قاعدين في الفرق. فتح الباب
and
طلع ايش منه؟
an
old woman.
Yeah.
مش بس old. Very old.
Very old woman.
مش مشيت.
Crawled out.
كرول المعنى الحرفي يعني بيزحف على بطنه. لكن كناية عن مش حركة
Very
بطيئة.
slowly.
تمام؟
Limping slowly.
يعني
To the
فيها
right.
ايش يعني اللي الحركة اللي فيها زي نوع من
Right
عارض.
to left.
وطبعا الحركة احنا نمشي هيك لأنه احنا شباب. بس العجايز لاحظ. I always say a good writer is someone who notices well. العجايز كيف بيمشوا دائما بتلاقي هيك الحدة بتمشي ولا لا؟ مظبوط ولا لا؟
Right.
The story is bringing this out. طيب ايش كمان؟
Limping slowly to the right, then to the left. Two young relatives, apparently her grandsons, holding both her hands. The woman's eyes were closed. The woman's eyes were closed.
طلع من طبيب الاسنان مسكينه عجوزه كبيره وقصيرها عينيها مسكرين وش كمان؟
And cotton was sticking out of her tiny mouth.
Cotton was sticking out of her because probably she pulled a tooth out or and then there's like cotton.
She clearly was in a lot of awful pain, which, in ways I couldn't explain, made my own whole body thrust.
يعني أنا على ألمها أنا تألمت على المنظر على إلى آخره. شوفوا المشهد الثاني مش عارف إيش أجمل بالنسبة لكم. كون someone other than وليد. كون. The girl whose hair was dangling.
The girl whose hair was dangling.
طيب في بنت عندنا في القصة أول ما وصفها إنه إلها إيش؟
Long hair.
عقص. ليش إلها عقص مش إشي ثاني مثلا عقصين خلاص. كيف you visualize something. What happens to the plate? دانجل يعني بيتحرك. لما الواحد بيتحرك معه. Go on.
Was wearing the white uniform with stripes. I always hated as a student.
هذا زي ايش؟ زي وكالة. بنت لحالها جاية مش جاية مع أبوها زي بنت الجامعة الكبيرة هذه. وحرن Go on.
I always wondered whether it was blue with white stripes. She went into the dentist room alone. I felt ashamed of myself. She was the younger version of me, except that I had liked to wear my hair in two plaits. And most importantly, she was not as cowardly as to bring her father with her. She was holding her school bag when she got in. So, most probably, she was leaving the school after having her tooth removed. In 2 minutes, the door opened again. The little girl came out with the same look of defiance on her face.
Defiance. Defy.
On her face, as if declaring, I finally got you out of my mouth, you stupid little tooth. I thought of the amount of time the little girl spent in there. 2 minutes, not even enough to give her any sort of anesthesia.
Very good. Okay, so we're done here, but for the sake of acting, Yusuf wants to read and to be recorded. And then I'll hang around for talks. Chat. You can hold it.
Soon after, Said joined him. So I'm reading from Omar X.
Story.
Soon after, Said joined him, and together they entered an orange orchard. Said insisted on going in first. Omar followed after Said made sure no soldiers were around. The place must be safe. Let's get closer to that building in the middle. We can see things clearer from there, Omar suggested in a whisper. The grass under their feet was fresh. The only noise they could hear was the branches rubbing against the grass under their feet was fresh. The only noise they could hear was that of the branches rubbing against them as they went further. Saad stopped to check his gun. Omar did the same. They stood still for a second. Silence was heard again, this time even clearer. It all made sense now. That silence was artificial. Omar and Saad did not have time to communicate except for some glances. Bullets poured from the building into them. Omar fell down, shot. Watch out, crawl on the ground. Saad, still in disbelief, shouted. More bullets whizzed by. Mom, I am serious about it. I want money to buy an AK-47 to fight those soldiers. They killed children and women. It's my duty, Omar demanded. Despite her love for her first son, Omar's mother could do nothing to stop him. She wanted him to study hard to pass his high school final exam. Just study hard this year, then you can put up your education for a few years, Mama suggested, urging him to focus on his school. I'll bring you a certificate that will make you raise your head proudly high in the sky, Amma would say, to comfort his increasingly worried mother. As he bled, a song he loved and always sang jumped to his mind. My mother prepared me a comfortable bed. She made me a leather pillow and wished me eternal happiness. This is your bride, shining like a diamond. Omar was too fragile to take out his mobile and make a last call to his family. He kept bleeding, and the bullets kept coming. He swung his head to his right, face down. Saad was lying lifeless next to him. He gathered enough strength and extended his hand over Saad's body. And before he could do anything, his hand fell down.
Thank you. في مشهد بالقصة تاع يوسف كنت بدي أقراه بس سطر من أجمل المشاهد الموجودة. كان ودي نطور عليه يعني هذا. ايش بيقول المشهد؟ هو اتذكر just one sentence. Very simple. So when Omar's life flashed, when he, the bullets whizzed by, Omar's life flashed quickly in front of his eyes. He saw himself as a child, being spoiled by his dad. He saw himself, it's just one sentence, let it go. He saw himself as a student throwing his little pocket money in protest. The coins scattering on the roof of their rusty house. This told us they're very poor. عشان البيت والآخره ومش عاجبه الفلوس ويعطيهم قروش صغيرة. We did this probably so many times. We just نمسك المصاري أو القلول أو أي حاجة. We just طلع المشهد ما عجبه. He saw himself as a student throwing his little pocket money in protest. The coins scattering on the roof of their rust, and it tells us that he's rebellious and these little things. So the plan was to give one session, and that's this one. But Yusuf was saying that asked me if I'm willing to give 1 or 2 more sessions. I said, yeah, of course, if you are willing to come or if you want to. As long as, but again, if we do more, next time it's going to be you writing more. So if you want to, for next time, whatever time you choose with Yusuf, if you want to contact him with this, I want you to develop the thing you just wrote. Write more, make it 1 page. Zoom in, be specific, learn from these aspects of visualization and everything.
Okay, let's decide from now. Are you okay with Monday and Wednesday next week?
This time next week, myself.
Or Saturday, so because of the electricity schedule. If you are okay with Monday at 2, sorry, Saturday at 2, please raise your hand. Saturday. Okay, Monday. If you are okay with Monday at 2. I think we have a majority. Okay, Wednesday at 2. Okay, so Monday. How many of you again? Monday at 2. Okay, so it's Monday at 2. Same place, same time.
Mr. Refaat, don't you want to see the painting? If it is
yeah, I want to. But if you don't want to come, or if you want to come, please read this typical conversation with my mom at home. Read this, and it's available on YouTube. It's a video. Your mom? Not my mom, but all moms are moms. هذا ايش هذه؟ بتاعت العيادة؟ كرسي 2 بس قالوا 5 ليش 3 صاروا؟ قريبين 2 هنا. بس بس الانسان على 2 من قرايب. But interesting. Still, gives the concept. في طاولة ما ذكرتش في طاولة حطيت في طاولة مش طاولة عادة. Loud speaker. Very good. Wires.